Hello everybody, welcome back to Devi Daily Yoga for this full body yin yoga sequence that is specifically designed to target the core of the body. In the postures that we move through, we're going to be releasing tension and stiffness on a deep level through the lower back, the sacrum, the side bodies, the thighs, the quads, the hip flexors, and the glutes. Everything that is near the core of the body has the most effect on our sense of being able to move freely through our body and hold ourselves with dignity and grace. So we'll use 2 yoga blocks to help us get into these stretches today. Go ahead and find a quiet place, roll out your mat. Our yin yoga practice for the whole body begins right now. We'll start the practice sitting in seiza with a block under the seat. So as you come into a kneeling position, you'll open your feet just wide enough to get your block under the hips, between the feet, and nestle the feet right up to the sides of the block. Now you could be at the middle height, or you could have your block at a lower height. And you could also sit any other way that works for your body, maybe crossed legs or anything that's comfortable. And we'll sit with the hands resting inside the lap, one palm inside of the other, and allowing the eyes to close when you're ready. And now take your seat with a sense of dignity and graciousness as you allow yourself to relax into a sense of presence. Notice the state of your body and mind, and bring a kind attention to it. Take 2 deep, relaxing breaths to sense the breath more fully in your body. Now settle into the natural rhythm of the breath, letting several breaths come through your body. And with each breath, let your mind become calm, let your body relax. And now allow the eyes to gently open. And let's move on to the back, removing your block. And we'll come into Golden Gate pose. So as you slowly let yourself down onto your back, you'll bend your knees, place your feet close to your hips, and lift up like a bridge pose to slide your block under your hips, middle height of the block or the low height of the block. And extend your legs forward, or feel free to keep the legs bent if that feels better. In either case, we are stretching into the front of the hip flexors and also bringing a nice stimulation into the sacrum and the lower back. Maybe the legs come as wide as your mat, or maybe they come to a shoulder width or a hip width, or maybe even closer, which will make the pose more intense. Your arms could come to your sides, or you might enjoy having them up over your head. And here we begin to settle into a sense of stillness. Feeling the sensations in the body and letting your awareness of these sensations carry you into the pose more deeply. And take a couple of relaxing, deep breaths. Allowing the body to melt into this shape. Allowing your mind to grow calm as you rest here. now inhale the breath. As you exhale, bend your knees to place your feet flat on the ground. Lift the hips off the block and come onto your back. And hug your knees in towards your chest. Clasping around the legs or holding onto one knee with each hand. And let's gently rock side to side. Bending the back in the opposite direction now. And noticing what you feel here. Sensing into the low back and the sacrum. And now roll all the way over onto one side to press up into a seated position for butterfly. And with butterfly, we'll take the soles of the feet together and come forward over the legs. And you might choose to work without props today, or you might enjoy having your block under your forehead, or you might enjoy having a block under your seat. And if you have cushions available and you prefer to use something softer under your seat, you could use a cushion under your seat. Whichever variation you're working with, our target area is the inner thighs and the lower back and the sacrum. So as you settle into your variation of the pose, notice what you feel. Notice where you feel the pose stretching, opening. And breathe into what you feel. Breathe into where you feel it. And letting each breath help you to soften into the shape. Slowly now come up from butterfly. And if you're sitting on a block or cushion, you can remove it at this point as we come into some seated windshield wipers. Knees bent, feet flat, lean back on your hand and let the knees move from one side to the other, getting a nice little side-to-side movement in your torso, your lower back, getting a little stimulation into the thighs, moving around with this energy that's been cultivated and awakened in the body. Good. Now let's come into a seated position with wide legs for Dragonfly. As we open the legs wide, we can use a block in front to come forward, maybe with the elbows on the block, maybe the forehead on the block, or maybe no block at all. Option to sit on a cushion or use any other arrangement of props or a pile of props in front of your torso and head. Take the time to settle into something that feels comfortable for your body to relax. Allowing your breath to help you to relax into this shape. And sending the breath to the place where you feel the pose most strongly. Now slowly come up, keeping the legs wide as we turn toward the right leg and come over this leg. You could choose to use your blocks underneath your elbows and forearms. You could also choose to bend your back leg if that makes the pose more comfortable. Hands might be on the shin or the ankle or the foot or the floor. As we stretch into the hamstrings, the back of the right thigh. Breathing into what you feel. Slowly now come up and move over to the other side, stretching down over the other leg. Once again, option to bend the back leg, to use your block maybe under your forearms or under your head, right inside the leg. Feeling into the back of your left thigh. Stretching into the hamstrings. Getting this nice lateral stretch to the lower spine as well, the sacrum. Breathing into the lower back and the back of the thigh. And now slowly release the pose. As you bring your spine up right, close the legs, and let's come into a hands and knees position for some cat and cow. Place your hands under your shoulders, place your knees under your hips. And inhale, lift the gaze, come into a back bend. As you exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone and tuck your chin. And one more just like that. Inhale into the back bend. And exhale, round the spine. And now moving the spine in a circular movement like a jump rope, feeling into all of the space that's been created in the torso so far in this practice. Let's roll the other way. Feel your lower back, your sacrum, your thighs, your hips. Good, and now let's bring this back to center and come onto the belly and rest on the elbows in Sphinx. And with the palms down on the floor. You have the option in Sphinx to have your legs about hips width apart, or wider, or narrower. You can play around with the distance between the feet and see what feels good. And you could also choose to use a block under your forehead. And once you've settled into your variation of Sphinx, begin to sense into what's happening inside the body. What do you feel in your lower back and around your sacrum? Maybe some stretch in the low belly, front of the hips. Allow your breath to move in and out of your body in a steady and easy rhythm. And now slowly release and come into a resting position where your head is turned to the right, and we'll bend the right knee out to the side. Take the left arm down alongside you so the left hand is next to the hip, and bend the right elbow so that you have kind of a cactus shape of your right arm. This resting position is called Baby Krishna. I learned it recently from one of my yin yoga teacher training students, Marianne Niyarmer. It's a wonderful resting pose in between the yin postures as we feel the energy flowing. Feel into the lower back after Sphinx. Breathe into what you feel. And slowly release to come back into Sphinx pose. And from here, we'll adjust and move into your choice of seal, where the hands come wider and we lift up with straight arms, or Sphinx with elbows on blocks. In either case, getting a little more height, a little more stimulation into the sacrum. So adjust as needed so that you feel a sensation in your lower back that feels not too intense, something you can breathe into. Once again, you can play around with how wide the legs are to see what feels best in this moment. And allow the breath to move in its steady rhythm, in and out of the belly. Relaxing through your sacrum, lower back, back of your hips, front of your hips, and your low belly. And slowly release now. Taking baby Krishna on the other side. Turn your head to the left. Right hand, right arm down alongside of you. And your left knee bent out to the left side. Turn your head. Rest the right side of the head on the floor. Left palm on the floor. And feeling the rebound from the pose. Notice the energy moving through your low back. And slowly release. Now, we'll slowly come back to child's pose. Moving hips back toward heels. Planting the palms in front of you on the floor and bringing your forehead down toward the ground. You could also choose to use a block under your forehead. Breathing into this lower back, gentle stretch. And slowly lift the head just a little bit so we can walk the hands over to the right side edge of the mat, placing the left hand on top of the right hand, and settle back through the hips with a gentle extra pull through the left hip crease. Take a big breath into the left side of the ribs. Exhale and pulling back through the lower back. Gently softening into this lateral side stretch. And slowly lift up and walk the hands over to the other side. Right hand on top of the left. Settle the heart down and draw back through the right hip crease. And breathe into the opening on the right side of the ribs, right armpit, right waist. And slowly come back to the center. And slowly come up to hands and knees, making your way into dragon. Step your right leg forward and have your blocks nearby in case you want to use them under your hands. You can use the highest height of the block like I'm doing, or you can use a lower height. And as you settle into your dragon, you might also want to have a blanket under your back knee if there's any discomfort with the back knee on the floor. And as we feel into this pose, we can sense how it's like a one-sided back bend, a back bend of the left side of the lower back, left side of the sacrum. And the heart can lift up to open more into this back bend, and at the same time, the hips can sink and soften down. And when we do the lunge in yin, the lunge which we call dragon in yin, we don't work to engage the legs like we might do in other forms of yoga or exercise. We do quite the opposite. We relax the legs. So see if you can soften and relax your thigh muscles and your hips and just let gravity take the hips down toward the center of the earth. Rest and breathe. Slowly release and come to gecko. Place the blocks both on the inside of the foot. Walk the right foot out to the right side edge of the mat. And come down onto your elbows on the blocks. And you can play around with the height of your blocks to see what height feels best. And the option is to open the right knee out to the right side and roll onto the outside edge of the right foot. Or if that doesn't feel great, just keep the knee straight up and down. And breathe as you soften into your gecko pose. Slowly now, come back up and step back to downward dog with the blocks under the hands. So first we'll use the blocks at their lowest height, place the palms on the blocks and tuck the back toes now to step back into dog. And take a few moments to enjoy this supported dog pose, maybe walking the legs out or whatever kind of movement feels good. And as you're ready, go ahead and drop the knees and come into dragon on the second side. Starting with high dragon blocks under the hands. Left foot is forward and we're feeling into this one-sided back bend, this time on the right side. Right side of the sacrum, the lower back. Nice stretch of the front of the right hip and thigh as you soften down through the leg and the hip. Letting gravity do the work. Letting gravity soften you through the lower body. And feel a gentle lift upward through the low ribs, the heart, and the crown of the head. Your shoulders can soften back and down, away from your ears. Steady and smooth breath. Now take both hands on the inside of the front foot, both blocks on the inside of the foot. Walk the left foot out to the left side edge of the mat and come down onto the elbows with the blocks at the high height, middle height, or low height. Option to open the left knee out to the left side and come onto the outside edge of the left foot. Making any final adjustments so you can settle into this gecko pose, letting gravity do the work. Sensing the movement of your breath. And slowly rise up and come back into your supported downward dog with the low blocks under the hands, tucking the back toes, stepping back. And once again, any movement that feels good in the hips, the legs, bending or walking the knees, walking the legs. Good, and now let's bend the knees and come to a seated position so that you can come all the way onto your back. Having your blocks nearby, we'll use them For our last pose, as you rest on your back, take a rebound with your legs extended, your arms extended, and allowing your body to melt into the ground as you feel the effects of the poses you've done so far. Feel the energy moving through your body. And now slowly bend the knees and hug them in toward your chest. And take one hand onto each knee and circle the knees in a clockwise direction. Massaging around the edges of the sacrum, feeling the opening of the lower back. And then circle in a counterclockwise direction. Very good. Let's bring it back to center and take figure 4 pose by placing the feet on the ground to begin with. And now take your right ankle over your left knee and draw the legs in towards you, clasping either behind the back of the thigh or in front of the shin. Option here to use one of your blocks under your head, which just kind of helps bring the shoulders a little closer to the legs and sometimes makes the pose more comfortable. Sensing the stretch in the right glutes. Breathe into the whole outer hip on the right side. Slowly release, placing the left foot down, right foot down, and changing sides. Left ankle over the right knee. Draw the leg in and find the stretch in the left glutes now. Option again to use the block under your hip. Option to clasp either place behind the thigh, which will be less intense, or in front of the shin, which will make it more intense. And feel into the outer left hip. And breathe, allowing each breath to relax your body, easing and softening tension with the gentle passing of time. And with this steady and easy traction, slowly release the legs and extend both legs long down the mat. Come into a rebound, resting to feel the effects. One more pose after this. Let's slowly bend the knees and come into spinal twist with a couple of different block options today. So we'll take the knees over to the right, have a block available so that you can try maybe placing the block in between your knees, or you could skew the knees and have it just under the left knee or even under the left foot. And you can also choose to cross the knees and have both feet being supported by the block. So play around with the variations till you find something that feels good. Make any final adjustments that you need to so that you feel this twist in the spine at the same time as a nice opening in the left side of the chest. And breathe and soften. Let the breath relax your body. Slowly release. Slowly change to the second side. Arranging your block, once again, either between the knees or under the right knee as you bring the left knee down a bit, or perhaps under the right foot, or perhaps under both feet. Right arm out to the right side. All of these options are here to help you find a way to Stretch into the body, and particularly here, it's a spinal twist. So in yin yoga, we don't tend to have exact placement of arms and legs, but instead, we really hone our intuition and our interoception, our ability to feel what's happening inside the body and make our own adjustments to the pose based on this sense. Breathe into your spine. Stretching open through the right side of the chest. Letting gravity help you settle and soften. Slowly release the twist now. Slowly come into a final relaxation position. Spread your body out on the ground. Taking a full star pose now, legs and arms spread out so that your energy can flow freely and easily through your shoulders and your hips and your spine. Make any final adjustments that you need to so that you can melt into the ground, so you can bring full awareness to everything that's happening inside the body right now. Maybe there's tingling, heat, coolness, buzzing. And whatever you feel, bring a kind attention to it, observing and resting into this awareness as the body becomes a magnet for the mind. Take a deeper breath into the belly and into the heart now. As you exhale, gently wiggle your fingers and toes and stretch into your arms and your legs. And bend your knees and roll over onto one side, making a slow transition back up to a seated position. Sitting cross legs or any way that feels good in this moment. Hands resting on the knees. And take 2 breaths to relax and soften into this upright position. Noticing the change from when you first began the practice to this moment. And place the palms together in front of your heart now. Open your eyes and let's inhale together with the arms coming out and over the head. Palms meet and exhale. Pull the hands right down in front of the heart. And that closes our yin yoga practice today. Thank you so much for joining me, and be sure to move slowly and gently into the next part of your day. If you're new here, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel where I have over 200 yin yoga videos and more. And if you'd like to learn more about yin yoga, check out my yin yoga guidebook, which is a free PDF you can download using the link in the description box below. Thanks again for joining me. I hope to see you again very soon, the next time we move together. Namaste.